Hello and welcome to the podcast where we talk about all things Weiss and chill with friends. My name is Liam and today I am joined by ChairmanTCG, or Simu, you might know him as. Simu, or Chairman, like I said, is a YouTube creator as well as one of the longest standing head judges in the world for Weiss, as well as being one of the 3 legendary Tressa's Collectables trio and the 2022 World Finalist that took the fantastic 6 stand-by-2 choice build of 7 Deadly Sins. Simu, my friend, hello, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. Oh my gosh, that was quite the intro. Got me really hyped there. Wow, I did not think there was that much to say about me, so I really appreciate that. That's really cool.
You are too kind. So I guess let's jump straight in. So like we said in your introduction, you are one of the 3 members of Tressa's Collectables. For those that don't know what Tressa's is, what is Tressa's?
Yeah, so Tressa's Collectables is a content creation team featuring Mike, Randall, also known as Shizu Cats online, and myself. We came together, I think this was during COVID. Yeah, sometime in 2020. Yep. Out of just Mike's passion and desire for a different type of Weiss content to be made. I think he runs his own shop, which is also named Tressa Collectables, and yeah, just like for him having the resources and the time to really like pour out a lot of passion and effort into the game made him want to like make really cool content. So I think one of the main things that we do differently from other content creation channels is that we have an entire like recording setup in Mike's house that has these top-down cameras that you can get to see each player's hand.
Yes.
And I think that kind of setup just already makes it like sometimes I'll go down to Southern California, where they are at, just to like do some recording. And every time I sit down to record for Tressa's, it's like the atmosphere of like that area just makes me feel like, oh man, I'm actually doing something that's like really special for a while. Like it's like really serious, right? In that sense. So like I guess yeah, it just comes out to be really cool content that yeah, just like high effort content for Weiss. That's really cool.
Like looking through, when I've watched Tressa since she started, and you know, I think that you guys you're nearly 2,000 or 3,000 subscribers now. Like you're popping off.
Yeah, almost 3,000. Yeah,
which is absolutely mental. But it's fantastic. Like the way that you do your gameplay style videos, it's very educational. It's, you know, it's talking about certain gameplay, certain lines of play. You know, obviously with your experience of being a judge as well as obviously Shizu Cat's been a very, very long-standing player, obviously doing the commentating on Bro and the World Finals as well. Mike, again, running his own store, obviously very, very a long-standing member of the Weiss community as well. I think it's really, really cool to have such experienced players provide turn-by-turn like descriptions of what's going on, and it's really, really good and fantastic, especially for new players to learn certain parts of the game that you might not have otherwise considered.
Yeah, exactly. I think the new player experience for Weiss is unfortunately kind of not great. I did a video on my channel where I kind of addressed how complicated the rules are. If you just like try to read the rules straight, you just have no idea like even how to play the game or what this game is like. But Weiss is one of those things where once you get past that initial hump, it's actually such an easy game to play. You can you really enjoy it. Very approachable game. Really easy to learn while you play, because like a lot of games, I think very famously Yu-Gi-Oh is like very punishing to learn while playing. You have to really learn outside of playing. But Weiss is a game that really teaches you as you play the game. Like every moment, like in the moment, you can like really reflect. Oh, I made this choice and this happened. This makes sense. You know. Yeah. It's
There's a lot
really
of
fun.
There's a lot of small moments that you could, like you said, you can recollect from those small moments rather than, oh, I played this one card, and because I played this one card, it meant that this 20-step combo stopped, which is Yu-Gi-Oh. You know,
right.
So yeah, I think Weiss is great for it. And in my opinion, I've got like a little difficulty ladder of TCGs where Pokemon is probably one of the easiest card games to learn. Weiss and Vanguard sort of fits in the middle. You've then probably got Digimon and One Piece just above, and then you've got the likes of Yu-Gi-Oh! And Magic the Gathering like being probably the most difficult card games to learn as a beginner.
Right.
So yeah, no, I totally agree. And like you said, it's that initial hump, but once you get over that, to actually learn whilst playing or learn whilst watching people, is a really good way to just develop your set.
Yeah.
So yeah, and go on.
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest challenge right now for content creators for Weiss is getting players over that initial hump and into the game. Because I think once players are into the game, once people who are interested are playing, it's so easy for them to keep playing and keep bringing in more players, because they'll just teach their friends. And like you don't need to play this game super competitively to have fun, right?
No, absolutely
I think
not.
like the game is just so enjoyable just to play, like even casually with friends. It's just like getting over the initial hump. So like, what can we do to make content to help players get into the game and feel comfortable, playing the game with friends? And I think that's like one of our biggest goals as Tressa. So
and I totally agree. Like again, with the amount that I stream, like I'm streaming twice a week now, playing Weiss Schwartz online, where I'll be playing with people, I'll be talking about certain things that I'm doing. If people have got a question in chat, I can literally answer it there and then. And again, it's all about trying to educate the community and ultimately just increase the number of players we have in our community, because realistically, Weiss Schwartz is a rather small game, especially when you compare it to the likes of One Piece, Yu-Gi-Oh! Like, One Piece is a relatively new game, but that's popped off purely because of the IP, as well as also being Bandai. Bandai have just got a very, very good marketing system going up, and obviously, I know there have been discussions in the past, at least I've been involved in, where, the marketing is getting better with Bushiroad, we can see that, but it's still got a long way to go.
right,
just
for sure.
More for the outreach more than anything. But I guess let's move on to obviously you as a player and your experiences. Obviously, you was taking part in the BCS 2022 World Finals in LA. First of all, given it was in LA, what was it like? Like, because obviously, I think that was your first World Finals, correct?
That's correct. Yes.
Yeah. So from what you know, obviously, you know a lot of people in the community, of course you do, and. Obviously, you've heard of people going, obviously, like myself, or again, members of the Judge program, or just again, members of your local community going to Worlds. You're in that group of very strong players. And from what they said in what it was like in Japan and how you experienced it in America, how did you find it, especially with the whole free play system, which was a brand new thing for 22?
I mean, free play was amazing. Like, because like, since it was in LA and there was free play, just basically most of the LA Weiss and like the Southern California Weiss community just showed up just to like be there, chill and hang out. So like all my friends were there. And so every round I would come over, say hi to Mike, record a little bit of like a round report, and then just go like hang out with friends. Like that was just amazing. And I know that they have nothing like that in Worlds in Japan. It's just like in the hotel lobby in between rounds. They're just like sitting there like ducks, just like what am I doing anymore?
No,
right? So I mean, I think the free play system was amazing. And I think given the fact that it did in LA, it was just like such a overall positive thing. There was a giant TV in the free play area where you could watch the stream that was happening on the other side of the room. And you just had like tons of people huddled around there watching.
Oh, that's cool.
I heard that I heard that when it was me playing, since I was like one of the local guys, like so many people were just there just like watching. So I was like, oh, that's so cool. But yeah. And just like commentating on the game as it was happening over there with like very, very low delay too. So it was very funny.
Cool.
Yeah. So I think it would be really cool if they continue doing that. But unfortunately, I think if they move back to Japan, kind of hard to get people to fly over to Japan just to free play for Worlds. Like I don't think that's gonna happen. Really. But yeah, it would really be cool if something like this could happen again, or if they like. I don't know. It was kind of like this magical Worlds moment in SoCal for somebody who's local, right? So
I think it's like, I think it'd be one of those things that'd be really, really cool to do, like they do with Pokemon Worlds, where obviously like last year, well this year just gone was Yokohama, the year before that was London, the year before that was Hawaii, I believe, and it's going back to Hawaii. Like we've got 3 regions that we can use for Weiss. Why not use them? Whilst going to Japan, don't get me wrong, lovely, fantastic. Every weeb wants to go to Japan, of course. Obviously, you've just come back yourself from Japan. Japan is great and all, but I do think for a World Finals, why is it locked to Japan? Going to America every now and then, I think it's fantastic. I think realistically, it should be on a 3-year rotation where 1 year it's Japan, great. 1 year it's in LA, great. And then 1 year it's somewhere in Europe, probably the UK, just because that's probably where the biggest player base is in Europe. Doing something in London or even Birmingham, and somewhere like that. I think that's what a World Final should be. And I'm glad that they obviously they were forced to change 2022 because of the lockdown in Japan. But I think it went so well that I think it's going to open some doors up for them. And I'm excited to see what happens with that. I really am. Like, I think it should be great.
For sure. It would be cool. And I think even the one in Japan, like I don't think that many, like let's supposing in the future they have another one in Japan and they have some kind of free play setup. I don't think even like the Australia Oceania region would travel to Japan just to free play, right? So like I think like even having one in someplace like Sydney or Melbourne would be cool too, right? Just so that you can get that community, or even Singapore, and get that community coming in as well.
Exactly. Yeah, absolutely. And I think that would be really, really cool. Again, it opens up Weiss to the world, not just locking it to, oh, you're Holy Grail Japan, that's where you want to go. No, let's actually have it as a world finals where the finals travels the world, because then not only that, you could utilize the judge program more to judge worlds, and I know we've had this discussion before on the judge program, like, use the judges, please.
The only reason I played at Worlds last year was because they did not allow me to judge for Worlds, which was in LA. Especially so I'm like, hey, Worlds is in LA. I want to judge Worlds because it's home turf. I'm down to just like floor judge or whatever. Can I judge Worlds? That's such a cool experience. They're like, no. I'm like, why? It's in LA. Like,
but why? Why would you not use these fantastic judges that are based in LA or based in America just in general, who would travel from wherever they are in America to LA? Just for they would do that, 'cause judges, the judge program. We're going to touch a lot on the judge program because obviously that's the biggest thing I want to talk to you about. But like, you've got so many judges, and doing what we do, we make a lot of financial sacrifices in order to make it happen. And people will do that. And if you have the opportunity to say, yeah, I judge worlds, and for doing so, here's a judge worlds mat sort of thing, I think judges would jump at the opportunity. I really think they would.
Yeah, for sure.
It's like, again, if it was ever held in, well, to be fair, even this year when it was held in America, I was like, I'm tempted to go and see if they want me to judge as a European judge in America. How cool would that look? That people are willing to travel the world to judge for the world finals. That looks so good.
Yes.
But I don't know. They seem very set in their ways of, Bushiroad will handle this. Bushiroad staff will handle this. Whereas, and let's be honest, some of the judges know more than the staff. Let's be honest. As much as,
I mean, it's our job, right? The staff's job is not to know the rules like an encyclopedia, like a freaking nerd, right? Like, we are big nerds for the rules. So like, that's our job. Like, we definitely spend more time looking at that kind of stuff than they have.
Yeah, exactly. It's hopefully it's something that they will look into in the future, because I think it's a really missed opportunity that they could really use as, one, to encourage more people to join the judge program, two, to just involve the judge program and make the judge program feel more appreciated, and thirdly, I just think that it will give them more of a variety of judges to ultimately improve the player experience, especially for free play, especially for the world finals. Like, I genuinely believe that. So let's hope. I've got a few conversations lined up very soon where I might be able to ask those questions and start sowing those seeds a little bit. That'd be great. So we'll see.
Sounds good.
Happens.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Yes. Let's just finish off in the world finals. Obviously, I do really want to talk about your really, really unique deck that you took with 7 Deadly Sins. And funnily enough, I've literally got it right here because I'm going to be playing it on stream tonight.
That's awesome.
I've got it ready. Literally, your profile made me go, this is nice to see a different deck that isn't Choice Escanor. Stock Soul Escanor. Like, this is such a unique deck, and I actually love how it plays. I think you actually can still play it like card for card. I don't think I would change too much in this current meta. I think I changed one thing in it, and that was it.
I think like overall it's still pretty playable. Yeah. Why did I play it? So in prepping for the World's meta, I was expecting Nino, Quince, and Kantamaring to be the dominant 2 decks.
Yes.
7 Deadly Sins had just come out, and in testing, Tressa's crew and some of the SoCal people, we were very low on Escador build at the start, because I think we just hadn't found like the right list, and ultimately, like at the end of the day, I think Escador was the best build. I think that one of the Europeans had like the best list.
Yes, that's right. Yeah,
and
Matt
on the day,
he finished 3rd overall and got very
oh
unlucky.
no. Oh, I don't think his list was the best. I think
Yarbacher?
I think Yarbacher's list was actually like by far the best list in the room on that day. I think he should have definitely made it all the way. But yeah, so because Escanor I thought was really bad, I was not respecting it at all. So I wasn't really thinking about how to like counter it. I was just thinking how to counter Marine and Quince. Yeah. And then ultimately this standby list utterly wins both matchups in like really, really interesting ways. Ways that are like fun to me. Like I love it when I can beat an opponent's a game plan by like 500 power. Yeah. And then it's just like completely ruin their day, right? Yeah. That's just like that's really fun. And so yeah, against Quince, I think this deck is actually unbeatable. I don't think I've lost a single practice match against Quince like ever. I just don't think it's possible. This was like before set 3. I think set 3 might make Quince a little bit too good. But like set 2 Quince, standby Quince cannot beat this deck.
No, agreed.
To save his life. It's just not possible, yeah. And then against Kanta Marine, I added a few tech choices to make sure that like I'd also be able to beat Kanta boards at level 2. And then yeah, I was just really comfortable with those 2 matchups with this deck specifically. And I was like, yeah, I'm down, dude. If that's all I face, I'm gonna have a good shot.
Yeah. I was say, and even your stream game. I think the stream game you lost, if I remember it correctly. But it was, I did. I lost. The way you lost it was just like, you've got this going, you're fine, and all of a sudden just things went wrong. Just out of nowhere, out of your control. And I was like, well, that's just Weiss, isn't it? What can you do?
Yeah, I got really unlucky that game. I died in 4 turns. My opponent had 4 turns. Yeah. And then I lost the game. I was like, wow, that's so fast. Like, yeah, the longer the game goes, the better this deck performs because it can just really scale like really well. Yeah.
No, I agree. Yeah. So watching that game online, I was sitting there going, oh, not like this. I've seen this really wacky deck. Not like this, please. And then it just happened. Oh, okay. But no, I say, like, I think it's, again, like I said, it inspired me to build my own copy. And it was funny because I literally sold my Meliodases just before. I'm like, oh, I'm not going to need them. I'm just going to run Escanor. It's fine. And then I saw your list. I'm like, oh, I'm going to need my Meliodases back. Crap.
Oh, no.
But it's fine. We got them. It's fine. It's fine. Right. So let's jump into what I want to like really focus on during this interview. And it's obviously the Bushiroad Road Judge program. So, you know, when did you actually start judging? Like, it's been a while now, right?
Yeah. So yeah, I started playing. So I started playing Weiss in 2014. Yeah. Which is not, to me, it doesn't feel like that long ago, but I guess to the current Weiss community, that's pretty veteran, I guess. Yeah. And then I started judging. Basically, I don't want to say full time, but I started judging exclusively in 2017. Sure. So before 2017, I was still doing mostly player stuff. Like I think there were some judge opportunities at the time, but I wasn't really interested in those. Yeah. Because I barely knew the game at that point. I was just still trying to really get to know the game and get to playing.
That makes sense.
Yeah, but then starting 2017, I basically committed to judging over playing. Yes. And from then on, anytime there was an opportunity for me to judge rather than play that made sense, right? Not like me flying like halfway across the country, right? I would judge exclusively. Yeah. Yeah,
and that's very similar. Like the timescales of you a bit earlier. I think when I became a judge in 2020. It was 2020. Just as COVID happened, I did my test, and because I was going to be doing my interview at the BSF, obviously COVID happened, so I never got to do that. Then they had to do it online, and then I was like the only judge to go from not being a judge to level 2, which I know they've changed their process for now, which I think is the correct thing to do. Like I do agree.
Oh, okay, I see.
Like it's one of those things where I guess my only thing was, one, I did very well in the test, and secondly, I had experience of judging in 2 or 3 other games prior, so I had the experience, just not for a Bushiroad card game.
I see.
So I got lucky in that sense, I guess. But you know, I guess like basically since 2022, I am going to be more exclusively a judge than a player. Like literally since like 2 years after becoming a judge, I'm going to be more of a judge than a player ever. Like this year, I played in Springfest because I was like, it's the only one I'm going to get the chance to play at all. And then this year, BCS, I'm only around for the UK one, and I'm going to judge that. Whether as head judge or as floor judge, depending on, I don't know. There are a couple of level 2s that are judging that event for Weiss, so it could go either way. I don't mind. I just want to provide for the community. That's what I want to do.
Right.
So I guess going into that, why did you want to become a judge, and why did you want to exclusively become a judge?
Yeah, so this is actually quite a story and quite a well-known story in the Southern California community. It was my experience at I believe this was a fall BCS. Back then, there was spring and fall were
Yes, that's right.
were both the same.
BCS,
They're both
that's
singles.
Right. Yeah,
yeah, they're both BCS and both singles. Like it was only recently that or not recent. It was only 2018 that they made Springfest like the trios format, which is wonderful choice. But yeah, so 2016 fall, I think it was 2016 fall. It was either 2016 spring or 2016 fall. I was playing at BCS, and this was like the first time I really like went as like like an experienced player. I think I went one time before it, like not knowing what I was doing. This was the first time like I had an actual deck that I thought up, and I was playing a really off meta like Sword Art build. It's like really weird. Playing like the 3/6 the Kirito Restander.
Oh, the Kirito Restander. Yeah.
6 o'clock. Yeah, that
thing.
And then in round 3, I was undefeated somehow. Like I was 2-0 by round 3, and I was playing against a mono green Madoka opponent. Right? It's like kind of also really off meta choice. I'm like, okay, it's weird. And in like the second turn of the game, I don't know, he like mills or he like cancels or something, but a climax goes from his deck to his waiting room, and I'm like, hold up, I've never seen that climax before. Let me look at it, and it's the BCS stamped Haruhi 2 Soul.
Ah, yes. Wait, why is that in that
deck?
And
I was like, this is a Haruhi climax. And he's like, yeah, it's a Haruhi climax. I'm like, you're playing a Madoka deck. And he's like, yeah. I'm like, I'm pretty sure that's not allowed.
Yeah.
And then he goes, oh no, but a judge told me that I could do this. And I was like,
no.
What? So I'm like, there's no way, right? And I'm like, okay. But like, I didn't want to be rude in that moment. So I was like, okay, well, that's interesting. But like, I think I want to get this confirmed by a judge, like on the floor today, right? Can I call a judge over? He's like, yeah, sure. So we call a judge. And, thankfully the judge who comes over is actually somebody who I think knew Weiss and was like pretty well respected in the community down then. So he's just like, I'm like, hey, here's the situation. The judge's like, yeah, you can't do this. Like, that's not legal. Yeah. And he's like, no, but a judge told me that like I could play this Haruhi climax in this Madoka deck. And he's like, do you mean like the judge told you that like you could play a Haruhi climax in a Haruhi deck? And then the guy was like, no, the judge said I could play this in any deck, right? And so like, and I'm just like, there's just no way, right? Like, and obviously we can't verify what that judge said.
No.
Like maybe the judge said the right thing and the player just did not understand or whatever. But like, it has caused this issue, right? And it should just be such a simple thing to understand. Like, no, like you just play whatever your set is, right? But no, somehow we're in this situation, and I'm 2-0. So he's also 2-0.
Yeah,
so I go, okay, so what did your previous opponent say about this climax? And they're like, oh, they didn't say anything. And I'm like, huh? Okay. Oh, you know what? Maybe it's like a 1 of climax, and they just didn't see it. So I was like, oh, you're just running 1 of that climax, right? He's like, no, I'm running 4. Oh okay. Man! And I was just like, dude, this is so scuffed. And then it gets worse.
The ultimate like 2 Soul Blue climax that we see in the show.
it gets worse.
Oh no!
His friend from 2 tables down overhears him arguing with the judge. Like looks over, gets up out of his seat, walks over, and then starts arguing with the judge too. So now it's the 2-on-1 against that judge, and I'm just like, what's going on? And then like this happens, and then like about 5 minutes later, Mike, who is like, so I'm sitting like here, right? And then his friend is like 2 tables down. Mike is in between us. And this is like back when I barely like really knew Mike that well, but like we kind of knew each other. Mike was just like, excuse me, your opponent is supposed to be playing you. Like, what are you doing? Like, you just left your game. And then like the guy like went back. But it was like just a so scuffed moment. I was just like, how is this happening? How am I 3-0 at basically the highest level of competition that Weiss has to offer in the States, and it is just this scuffed, right? And then for the rest of the day, I just like noticed how scuffed the tournament was run. Like judges just making incorrect rulings and all these other things. And I'm just like, dude, this sucks. Like I'm playing, and like it's just like it just feels so bad, like to play in this kind of environment. And then I went X1, and because they did one fewer round of Swiss than necessary, I bubbled at 10. And I'm just like, this is like the worst experience I've had playing, like, and doing pretty well on the day, right? Like, obviously, I don't think I was a very good player at the time, but like, I did well on the day and still didn't make it. And I was just like, you know what? If I had the choice to play in a tournament like this or to help make this tournament better, I think it's a no-brainer. I'm not having any fun playing right now. I'd rather just like use what effort I can or my skills to like improve the scene for people to actually enjoy it. Like, this is just not fun for me right now. I'm having no fun.
So at least that was an experience, like, for you to go, you know what? I need to help improve this. Let me get involved in this judge program, and obviously it's worked out. And you know, so you've been judging for what, nearly 6 years now, which you know, that's pretty impressive in itself. And I guess then, obviously, again, through those years, obviously you've gone from floor judge, level 1 judge to a level 2 judge. What was that progression for you like?
Very abrupt. So I mean, I think back in the day, like, the judge program didn't have levels like when it started.
Sure.
In 2017, it was just like either you're a judge or you're not, and then you still had to take the judge test, and then judges did get some compensation. I showed this off the other day, but like, I do have some really old judge promos, like the very first one, which is the Aqua.
Yes, the Aqua.
Closable Aqua judge promo. I'm pretty sure there's
not many of those
very
around.
few of those, in
around.
Circulation, because like, and all of people who like had them at the time, they like sold them for like under 100 or something.
Oh, I know, they're worth they're worth a fair bit now, I think, because they're just the original
like a lot now. Yeah, so I do have some like the older stuff like that, but I mean, like, I was just judging the one event in SoCal every time it came around, and not really having a lot of opportunity or doing much else after that. And then once COVID hit and they opened the judge program, they're like, oh yeah, congratulations, you're like a level 2. I'm just like, what the hell does that mean? And also we're in COVID. Like, it's like what is going on? Like, why did the judge program take COVID to suddenly like,
we need leveling system?
Yeah, like systems and
I genuinely think
it suddenly scales up, and I'm like, what?
Yeah, I genuinely think that's why I came as a new judge and was made level 2, because they only made the level 2 system basically as I joined, like just before I joined. So I genuinely think that's why. And then obviously now they're doing a thing of no, you need to be level 1, you need to work your way up, which I think is I think that's 100% the correct way to do it.
I also agree. I think they didn't take, even in the States, like, they only made for Weiss, it was me and Connor, we got made into level 2s, which I think is pretty respectable. Weiss, I think like for Weiss, like, these are like 2 veteran players and judges, but like, they definitely disregarded a lot of like veterancy when the judge program happened, which was a bit of a shame, because we lost a lot of really good judges to like the limbo between am I still a good judge, or am I like, do I still need to take the judge test to become a provisional or a level 1? Like, we lost a lot of good judges to that, which I hope we're slowly like reclaiming them as you know, as COVID has died and the program and tournaments have opened up again. But yeah, I do think they should have respected the veterancy of some of our longer standing judges.
Yes. Like,
I'm definitely not the most veteran judge in North America. There are people who have been judging way longer than I have.
Because Connor's been judging longer
active
than you, right?
At the time.
Okay,
well, Connor doesn't count because Connor doesn't judge.
Oh, yeah, you're not wrong. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Count.
Yeah, that's fair. That's yeah.
But yeah, I think like one of the guys his name is Bren. I believe he made worlds in for JP, WGP,
WGP
in North America once. Yeah, I think so. Somebody can correct me if I'm wrong. But yeah, like, he's been judging since like way before me. And then he just kind of got lost in the transition to the judge program. I'm just like,
bring him back. He was really good.
Like, this guy is probably a good level 2 candidate if he's still like very active and if he's still like up to date with the rules. Like, he you know, like, we should get him tested and like see if he could get some opportunities and stuff.
Absolutely.
But yeah.
So I guess, like, as again, through your years of judging and things like that, has there been a moment that's really stood out to you and gone, why did this happen? How have I solved this? Like, what is your craziest experience as a judge?
Oh man, my craziest judge. I think I think I don't know if this happened on the day, but I remember once, like it was after the judge program like restarted during COVID, and I was like, that's when I kind of really took it seriously because I was made level 2, and I was just like, oh shoot, like I have some kind of like standing. I like really should take really should take this seriously. And I remember I was like really thinking about like what can constitute a rewind. And then like I puzzled out that like you can rewind blind stock. If you just do the order correctly, right? And I think but because like before then I was kind of raised in like an environment of like card game playing where we're very strict with like what is rewindable, what is not. But I think Bushiroad has made it very clear in their floor rules and just kind of their perspective that like, no, like we want to like maximize player experience and fun. Like we don't want sharking to like really exist in any capacity, right?
Sure.
And so I think that like that encouraged me to like think up more ways to rewind stuff. And then I think blind stock was always the one that like had just been assumed, at least by the community that I was a part of, to just not be fixable because it was blind, right? Like if you stock a blind card and you pay it out and you have the knowledge of that, there's no way to ungain the knowledge of that blind stock, right? Therefore, that's not a fixable situation. But yeah, I just remember puzzling out how to rewind blind stock. And then when I figured it out, I remember like messaging Connor. I was like, Connor, blind stock is rewindable. He's like, oh, is it? And then like we talked about it. He's like, oh yeah, that works. Like, and then we like kind of discussed the parameters for that. And then I think after that, I believe I actually did it once in like a tournament, but I think that just like gave me so much excitement as a judge, being like, wait, I can do so much more to like help the game and to like fix situations that otherwise would have just ended. Like if it's like in the hands of a judge who doesn't know how to rewind blind stock, they just unfortunately it's like game loss, right? And it's just like nobody wants that. Nobody wants something to end like that, right? And so I was like, oh, I could do so much. And so yeah, I think that was kind of like the moment where I was like, oh, I'm gonna put so much effort into like learning how to like rewind different situations and really like thinking about these things as a judge, because I definitely want to help the player experience improve like tremendously.
Absolutely. And like I said, in line with what Bushiroad are trying to do, they are trying to emphasize player experience over like strict ruleness, or strictness of rules, should I say? And that comes through. And again, when you and Connor were having that discussion, I remember seeing it on the judge chat and going, "Oh, yes, this works. You just got to again do X, Y, and Z in the correct order and get to the point where you randomize the deck to make the blind stock blind again, and like you just do it at the right point." And I think that's a great way of doing it. I was like, this works with any situation of any knowledge that is blind, unless you can prove the fact that they knew what the top of their deck was and rearranged it accordingly. For example, top 2 check on, a King Climax Opera or something. And there you just figure out the way of making it work otherwise. So I saw that discussion. I was like, this is exactly what the game needs, given what Bushiroad are trying to do with Weiss. I feel Weiss is more... If you compare Vanguard and Weiss in terms of casualness, Weiss is definitely more casual of a game. Like,
for sure.
Like Vanguard is a lot more competitive, for sure. And that comes through even during BCSs, where it is still obviously the highest level competitive game. There is still that casual element where if something happens, you just go, "Oh, well, that's Weiss." You accept it. Something you are a lot more accepting of what happens in Weiss than you are in Vanguard. Like from my experience of playing Vanguard, very short experience. And I guess to wrap up, obviously we're getting towards the end of this interview. One thing I wanted to ask you, two things I want to try and blitz through these. First of all, with the judge program how it is, what would you do to improve it, say, tomorrow?
Oh, tomorrow. Okay. I think the biggest one is to really make it clear, like what the judges' responsibility, roles, and like how what direction the judge program is going to be headed in for the people who are trying to get into the judge program. Like I think for me, I'm pretty much like deep invested. Like I don't really care what direction the judge program goes. Like I'm pretty like I've already like tied myself to it. But like for somebody who is like trying to return to being a judge, or it's like a provisional, like they just have no vested interest in actually working or like progressing in the judge program, since it's so aimless and directionless.
There's no guidelines as to what do I need to do to go from provisional to level 1. What do I need to do to go from level 1 to level 2? There's no like there's no benchmark.
Right. Like just like a clear path to progression, and also a clear understanding of like what is like what does judging get me? Like what are the perks? Like why should I judge over play? What are the opportunities to judge? And I think like like all of these things need to be set other people to want to judge and for judges to want to continue to be judged.
Yeah,
right?
agreed.
Yeah.
And on the note of, again, looking at new judges and things like that, for those that are wanting to become a new official judge, what would you advise to those looking to become a judge?
Oh yeah, I actually gave this advice because there's some players in the local community who are looking to become a judge. I think the first one is find opportunities to judge where you're at in the local level, right? Like with shops, it's surprising. Like a lot of shops, they just run tournaments without judges. So like if something happens, they're just kind of like, you guys are the players, figure out yourselves, right? And like these tournaments, obviously, if you just go up to them and, hey, can I like volunteer and stuff playing just to like judge this tournament? They're definitely not going to turn you down, right? So yeah, just start from the local level, get opportunities to judge, learn about the game. And like I think the most important thing is just to get those reps in, like figure out what to do in different situations. Yep. And then eventually, if you have the opportunity to actually travel to a regional, like just go and volunteer. Or it's not okay, it's volunteer for you guys, but it's you actually get paid here. So
so we have to volunteer. Yeah, freaking America.
Yeah. America. All right, but yeah, just like go and staff. Like just continue to like involve yourself. And that's just really how it is, right? Like the more you do it, the better you'll get at it. The more you'll figure out if it's something that you actually want to do. Continue on, and then that's just how it works.
No, fantastic. No, let's say that pretty much wraps it up. So thank you so much for coming on, Simu. Really, really appreciate it, man. And I guess before we shoot off, any shout outs or plugs from yourself before we go?
Yeah, for sure. So once again, my name is Simu. I go by Chairman online. I run a YouTube channel called ChairmanTCG. This is separate from my group work with Tressa's. This is kind of for just my personal Weiss musings and shenanigans. Also more JP focused because that's what I play more. Besides, and then also huge shout out to Tressa and the group, Mike and Randall. Dude, they're just such good homies, and like I'm like so blessed to have them in my life. Honestly, really thankful. And then I think those are the two major shout outs. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, that's great. No, thank you so much for coming on. Thank you so much for coming on. Obviously, at the time of recording, you've come on, and it's very early your time, so I really appreciate you coming on. So yeah, if you enjoyed this episode, again, let me know by hitting that like button, and if you are new here, please consider subscribing to the channel and checking out the Spotify as well and following the podcast on there. But apart from that, we're going to end this episode here. Thank you so much for listening, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Bye!